Take a slow breath, settle in, and let this true story unfold. This is the story of a real woman, not a legend, not fiction. A woman who lived, feared, struggled, and chose courage during one of the darkest wars in history. Her name was Nancy Wake. She was born in 1912 in New Zealand and raised in Australia. As a young woman, she was curious, bold, and independent. She traveled alone across Europe and worked as a journalist, something rare for women at the time. In the 1930s, she was living in Paris when she witnessed something that would change her life forever. She saw violence in the streets, she saw Jewish people attacked, she saw the rise of Nazi power, and she understood war was coming. When World War II began and Germany invaded France in 1940, everything changed overnight. Cities fell, soldiers occupied the streets, fear spread everywhere. Nancy could have left. She had a foreign passport. She had a chance to escape, but she stayed. She joined the French Resistance, a secret network of ordinary people who fought against Nazi occupation. They were not soldiers. They were teachers, drivers, shop owners, mothers, and young women like Nancy. Their mission was dangerous: help Allied soldiers escape, carry secret messages, hide fugitives, sabotage German operations. If caught, they were tortured. If exposed, they were executed. Nancy became one of the most important members of the resistance. She used her confidence and charm to move unnoticed. She carried documents hidden in clothing. She guided downed Allied pilots across borders. She lied to German officers and walked away calmly. The Gestapo, the Nazi secret police, soon noticed her. They gave her a nickname, the White Mouse, because no matter how hard they tried, they could not catch her. She slipped through checkpoints, disappeared before arrests, reappeared somewhere else, continuing the fight. Her husband, Henry Fiocca, supported her resistance work. He knew the risks, he knew the danger. But one day, the Gestapo arrested him. They demanded information. They wanted Nancy. He refused to speak. He was executed. Nancy did not learn the truth until after the war. For years, she carried that loss silently, but she did not stop fighting. As the danger increased, she was forced to flee France. She crossed mountains on foot, traveled in secret, eventually reaching Britain. There, she made a decision that would define the rest of her life. She volunteered for the Special Operations Executive, the SOE, a secret British organization that trained agents to return behind enemy lines. They trained her in weapons, explosives, radio communication, hand-to-hand combat, survival. She was no longer just a resistance helper. She became a combat operative. In 1944, Nancy parachuted back into occupied France. Night, darkness, wind, enemy territory below. She landed among resistance fighters in central France and quickly took command of operations. She helped organize thousands of fighters. She coordinated sabotage missions. Railway lines were destroyed. German supply convoys were ambushed. Communication systems were cut. Every action slowed the Nazi army and helped the Allied forces prepare for liberation. Nancy was not just present, she led. She carried weapons, planned attacks, rode long distances by bicycle to deliver messages. Once, she cycled over 500 kilometers through enemy territory to restore radio contact with London. Another time, she personally led an assault against a German stronghold. She later admitted she was terrified, but she kept moving, because courage, for her, was not the absence of fear. It was acting despite it. Her group faced constant danger. The Nazis hunted them relentlessly. Villages were searched. Informants were everywhere. At any moment, everything could collapse. But they persisted, day after day, mission after mission. Then, in 1944, the war began to turn. Allied forces landed in Normandy. Resistance movements across France intensified. Nancy and her fighters launched attacks that disrupted German reinforcements heading toward the front lines. Every destroyed bridge, every sabotaged train, every delayed convoy saved lives, not just soldiers, civilians too. The war eventually ended in 1945. France was liberated. Germany surrendered. The world began to rebuild. Nancy returned to a different reality. The fighting was over, but the memories remained. She learned the truth about her husband, about friends who never came back, about the cost of resistance. She had survived. Many had not. After the war, she received numerous honors from France, Britain, and other countries, medals for bravery, recognition for leadership, but she often dismissed them. She would say, "I was just doing my job," because in her mind, the real heroes were the people who never lived to see peace. Nancy Wake lived a long life. She spoke openly about the war, not to glorify it, but to remind people of what happens when fear and hatred take control. Her story is not one of invincibility. It is a story of choice. A woman who could have stayed safe, but didn't. A woman who lost everything, but kept going. A woman who fought not because she loved war, but because she loved freedom. And perhaps the most powerful part of her story is this: she was not born a soldier. She was not trained from childhood. She did not grow up expecting to fight. She was an ordinary person, placed in an extraordinary moment in history. And when that moment came, she chose courage, not once, but again, and again, and again. Tonight, as you listen to this true story, remember, history is not only shaped by generals and governments, it is shaped by individuals, by decisions, by quiet acts of bravery no one sees. Nancy Wake was one of those people, a woman who walked through fear and kept moving forward. And because of people like her, entire nations found hope again. The war ended, the world changed, but her story remains, a reminder of strength, resilience, and the power of one person's courage in the face of darkness.